Hey guys, this is Versus Z bringing you a video review of the classic Predator from NECA's Predators action figure toy line. This figure retails for about 17 to 20 US dollars depending on where you pick them up. Got this one from Toys R Us for $16.99, but depending on where you go, it could cost a lot more than that. And now the packaging is this really simple yet badass looking design with the Berserker Predator in the background, and you can see the aiming laser right in the back. You also have the figure displayed out here and whether or not it comes with an accessory. And you also have the title and the name of the figure, Classic Predator, Predators, and then you get this nice badass image of the classic Predator right there. Which, by the way, the classic meaning the original Predator, the one that started it all. Ages 17 and up, huh? Sorry, kids. As much as the front profile of the box looks really awesome, the back is where it really speaks Predators. You get 3 Super Predators from the movie, and of course a picture of the classic Predator in the back. You get a background story, or rather some information on the movie, and images of the first wave from this toy line, featuring the Falconer, the Berserker, and of course the classic. I'm sorry, but that just looks so badass. You can't even see his pupils. It's just evil. It's just evil. Okay, maybe those 3 are a little bit more evil, but this is evil. Since this is a NECA figure, one would expect the details to be spot on. And I gotta say, for a figure like this, and for the price you get it for, it's more than spot on. It's actually very badass looking. That face right there is the face that started it all. And the sculpting on that is just absolutely amazing. The hair, I think the hair could be a little bit longer than that, but it's pretty fine. You get this nice rubbery plastic kind of leathery feel to it. But the rest of the body, you can actually feel the texture of the skin. The metallic armor plating, you can feel that too. You get some more textured material here, which is basically just soft plastic, but textured enough, weathered enough to make it actually feel like leather. Great details, rivets, and gadgets on the different forearm devices, like so. Even down here, the fishnet stuff, and even the armor, which has some splots of paint. Could have been done better as weathering, but it's whatever. I also noticed that this Predator, compared to the other Predator figures from the same toy line, also have this, or this one has this glossy kind of moist finish to it, and I think that makes perfect sense. If you can recall watching the first movie, it's actually pretty accurate to that. And I just cannot get over the face sculpt on this. This is just so badass. One thing I should point out though, the head on this figure and even the Berserker look a lot bigger than they should be, and that's just because of the camera angle. So if you're worried about the head being too big, don't worry, it's just my camera. It's just my angles, I mean. But anyway, the details are all there. The only one thing that's not there that I wish was there, but seeing that this is a 7-inch figure, you can see these little hair-looking molds on the head. Now those are actually supposed to be painted black, or should be painted black, but they are more hairs, kind of like just more frills. And if you look back to the images from the box, you'll notice that there are some hairs just protruding out of this, I guess, hairline of the Predator. It's unfortunate that we can't get that detail here, but once again, this is a 7-inch figure with a $20 price range. I'm pretty sure if you paid for a Hot Toys figure, that detail would be there. The accessories this guy comes with is the shoulder cannon. In simpler terms, it's called the plasma caster, but for simpler terms, it's called the shoulder cannon. But it's an absolutely very, very detailed piece of accessory that clips onto the back, and I'll show you how in a second. But just look at the detail on this thing. It's really great. You know, you do get it is attached onto this clear piece of plastic for some odd reason, and it is articulated. You can move it up and down, and it's also connected on a ball joint here, so you can rotate it anywhere you like. Now, do be careful here because it isn't a very secure application. It isn't a very secure application there. It is very loose, so you might want to be careful with that. But other than that, it is very detailed. Could use some weathering, but it's actually a very, very detailed piece here. Now it does clip onto his backpack. There's a tab here and then another tab up there. You just hook it on in a hole right under there, and then there's another gap on his shoulder right there. So it just hooks rather than clips. Not very secure, but secure enough that it'll stay there. and it gives off a very nice effect. The next bit of accessory is signature wrist blade, and you can't actually extend it out. The problem with it, and it might be just a slight nitpick, is that the wrist blade tends to kind of dip inward like so. I tend to do this sometimes just to keep it even, but when you get out of the box it does come out like that. Slight problem, but nothing to really complain about. Just look at that face. It's a face only a mother would love. Anyway, articulation. Now, because the shoulder cannon is attached, the shoulder articulation for the left arm is a little bit limited, so I'm going to show you what it looks like without the shoulder cannon on. There is a hinge at the elbow, so it'll allow you to do things like that, and even rotate. Now, these armor pieces are made of the same soft rubber plastic as anything else. You do get a swing backwards and forwards, and you can see the shoulder cannon kind of moves out and in the way. Now these things here are really nice because they actually flex and move along with the arm. It's a really nice added touch. A big improvement over the one from the Alien vs. Predator Requiem figure, where if you rotated it too far it just snapped off. Elbows have a hinge, which you can also rotate in and out, and then the wrists are on ball joints. You also have a cut on the waist, although sometimes if you get this out of the package you might have to force it there. That is intentional, and it's only because the paint has been dried. It's much like some Iron Man 2 figures. You just have to kind of make it move. Now the only thing that I don't like about waist cuts like this is that when you rotate it too far and you look at it from a high angle like so, you get that open wound effect, which isn't very nice. But from down here it looks okay. On the legs, very weird, but it works. You have two cuts, one here on the hips, which will allow the legs to rotate, I guess, swing. There goes the shoulder cannon. Swing forward and backward. You also have a cut at the thigh that will allow the thighs to rotate left and right. And on the knees you get the same rotatable hinge where it bends a little less than 90 degrees. You can also get some rotation out of that same joint. And then on the ankles you have a ball joint. It's not loose at all, so whether you put them in a simple stance or a wide stance, the figure will stand right on its own. Now just because it has 20 points of articulation doesn't mean it's a fully articulated figure. The focus on this figure is actually the detail. Not so much on articulation, but it definitely is an improvement over the AVPR figures. You can do some nice simple poses like this. Feral screaming, "Rah, you mother effers! Rah!" Here's an example of a wide-legged stance pose. This is more of a I'm about to hack and slash you for making me show you my ugly face pose. But once again, the legs, they do have weird joints, but it is effective. I think the overall effect could be a little bit better, provided they gave us different leg options. But once again, this figure's focus is not articulation, but rather a posable, very, very, very detailed statue. Since this figure, or at least since this version of the Predator is unmasked, I don't normally pose him with the shoulder cannon on, because when the Predator is unmasked, it usually means it's time to get serious. I would rather have him hold a random figure's head in his hands. At least I figured out what to do with my Kuga. Alright, Predator fans, it's time for my final thoughts, and that's really who I'm only speaking to, is Predator fans. If you're not too keen on the whole Predator franchise, you might want to pass this figure up. Or if you haven't even seen the movie, then just completely ignore this. But if you love the classic movie, then the classic Predator is the figure to get. I don't think there's any other figure out there, well, price-wise, I don't think there's any other figure out there that you can get that's as good as this one. Of course, if you decide to pay $200+ to pay for a much bigger 1:6 scale figure, then you're getting your money's worth, I think. But other than that, if you're looking for just something cheap, just to have, and something that's a little bit more shelf space friendly, then this is the figure for you. Once again, I can really only recommend this to fans of Predator, the fans of the movie, and the movie and the creature alike. And especially if you love the new Predators movie, then you should definitely add this onto your collection. But if you have any other Predator figures from NECA, or any Alien figures from NECA, I'm sure this is a good addition to that. There's not much else I can say positive-wise, but negative, now this figure isn't very posable in terms of what you might expect. A lot of people were probably expecting a huge improvement over the AVPR figures, and there has been improvements. but not huge enough to really, not huge enough in my eyes at least to consider these figures all that better. I still like my AVPR figures, but these just have a slight edge on them, and that's just because they're more posable. The legs could use a little bit more work, but once again, the focus of NECA's figures are just posable, but very, very well sculpted figures that are just made for display. I can't recommend you pick these up for kids. There are some sharp parts, of course, like the wrist blades. They do get sharp, and also even the nails in the on his hands, which are the hands which I forgot to show off, are actually very detailed. Paint apps are great for what you get with this figure, but you know, I could ask for more, but I would have to end up paying for more, of course. So once again, I can recommend this, but only to fans of the Predator creature and the Predator franchise. But if you're definitely curious about, you know, both the franchise or the creature in general, then this might be the one for you. The only thing is, it's probably the most sought after of the first wave. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review and found it useful or helpful in any way. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. I think it's about time a new breed of terror emerges. See you in the next review, guys.